Greetings Professor K, and class. I would like to take this nice opportunity, at the end of this lovely soil science class and year 2015 holidays, to welcome you at my final project related to my soil survey. My project, as it can be read from the title, is going to be about Bedford County Soil Survey. So, let's have fun.
Bedford County is situated within the south-central regions of Pennsylvania, see Figure 1. The county occupies 652,040 acres, around 1,018 square miles. It is at the boundary of Somerset and Cambria counties to the west, Fulton County to the west, Blair and Huntingdon counties to the north, Fulton County to the east and Maryland, Allegheny County to the south. Bedford is together the biggest municipality and the county capital. It lies within the estimated geographic hub of the county. This work offers general knowledge concerning Bedford County as it talks about physiographic, mineral reserves, geology, water possessions, weather, and the universal soil map that may comprise, but not restricted to, characteristic pattern of relief, soils, and drainage.
Distracraft soils are well drained, moderately deep to very deep, and have a coarse to medium textured subsoil. Buchanan soils are moderately well drained soils, very deep, and have medium or moderately fine textured subsoil and a fragipan. McCassville soils are well drained, very deep, and have medium or moderately fine textured subsoil and a fragipan. The rest of the minor soils consist of the well drained Berks, Beddington, Leidig, Merle, Clymer, Hazelton soils, and also the poorly drained Andover soils. The largest areas in this map unit is covered by forests and woods, and only a small area is cultivated. This is because the soil that make up this map unit is not suitable for farming activities as a result of existence of large stones, steep slopes, and boulders. The general characteristics of the soils range from being very deep to moderately deep, gently sloping to very steep, and are well drained. They are formed in material weathered from acid sandstone, conglomerate, siltstone, and shale. The soils cover about 6% of the survey area of the map unit. It is found on broad mountaintops and ridges throughout the county. The landscape consists of smooth side slopes of ridges, convex ridge tops, and undulating plateaus. The areas are irregularly separated by small or medium streams. The map unit is made up of 45% Hazelton soils, 30% Clymer soils, and 10% Distracrafts. The rest is made up of minor soils. The general characteristics of the soils range from being very deep to shallow, gently sloping to very steep, and well-drained soils formed in material weathered from acid, red sandstone, siltstone, and shale. These soils cover 18% of the county map unit, Fig. 3. The landscape in the map unit consists of deeply dissected hills and low ridges. These areas are divided by streams that have narrow and moderately wide floodplains and bottomland. This map unit consists of 36% Calvin soils, 24% Clinesville soils, 5% Lakehill soils. The minor soils are about 35% of the map unit. The steeper areas in the map unit are mostly wooded, pasture, or idle. However, the lesser sloping areas are commonly used for farming. Some areas have low or moderate available water capacity which make them droughty. Morrison soils and damp. Merle soils. The general characteristics of these soils are gently sloping to very steep, very deep, moderately well-drained or well-drained soils formed in material weathered from dolomitic limestone and calcareous sandstone. The soils cover 4% of the county according to the map unit. It consists of dissected uplands in limestone valleys and coves and on low ridges which are long and narrow. The map unit comprises of 50% Morrison soils, 40% Merle soils. The minor soils comprise of 10%. Specific characteristics of soils. Merle soils are very deep and well-drained and have medium or moderately fine textured subsoil. Morrison soils are very deep and well-drained and have moderately fine to moderately coarse textured subsoil. Minor soils consist of the well-drained Vanderlip, Hagerstown, and Opequon soils in moderately well-drained Buchanan soils. Most area in the map unit are woody. Some areas are not good for farming because of surface stones and slopes. However, the areas that are relatively free of surface stones are used for farming crops and orchards. The potential productivity of the woodland is moderate or moderately high. The general characteristics of these soils range from being gently sloping to very steep, shallow to very deep, well-drained to poorly drained soils formed in material weathered from acid shale, siltstone, and some sandstone. These soils cover about 30% of the survey area of the map unit, Fig. 4. The landscape consists of rolling hills and long, narrow ridges which are dissected by streams that have narrow floodplains. The valleys are narrow and the food slopes are narrow and moderately wide. This map unit comprises of 35% Berks soils, 30% Weikert soils, and 10% Blarton soils. The minor soils make up 25%. Many areas that consist of the lesser sloping areas are cleared and used for pasture, hay, and cultivated crops. The water capacity and natural fertility in some area are low. The potential productivity of the woodland soil is moderate or moderately high. Hagerstown soils, Clarksburg soils and damp. Opequon soils. The general characteristics of these soils range from being gently sloping to steep, shallow to very deep, well-drained to moderately well-drained soils formed in residuum and colluviums derived from limestone, shale, and sandstone. The soils cover 7% of the survey area in the map unit, Fig. 5. These soils are found in limestone valleys and coves. The landscape is undulating to hilly. Uplands are broad and bottomland is moderately wide. The map unit comprises of 64% Hagerstown soils, 12% Clarksburg soils, 5% Opequon soils. The minor soils comprise of 19%. Most areas are used for farming and the soil is suited to cultivate crops. Steep or very steep areas are generally woodland. The productivity of this area is high. The soils are also suited to woodland and their potential productivity is moderate or moderately high.
Westmoreland soils, Edam soils and Opequon soils. The general characteristics of these soils range from gently sloping to steep, shallow to very deep, well-drained soils formed in a material weathered from calcareous shale, siltstone and sandstone and thin-bedded limestone. These soils cover 4% of the survey area in the map unit, Figure 6. It is found on minor ridges and hills. The landscape is undulating to rolling and it is irregularly separated by streams that have moderate or wide floodplains and bottomland. This area comprises of about 28% Westmoreland soils, 15% Edam soils, and 10% Opequon soils. The minor soils comprise of 47%. Most of the areas that are lesser sloping are cleared and are cultivated. The steeper areas are used for pasture and woodland. The soils in this map unit are generally suited to farming. Liber soils, Opequon soils and March soils. The general characteristics of these soils range from gently sloping to steep, shallow to very deep, well-drained soils formed in residuum and colluviums from Chirdy limestone. The soil covers 7% of the county. It is on minor ridges. The landscape consists of relatively broad, undulating to smooth ridgetops and steep, smooth side slopes. The ridges are elongated and are occasionally dissected by major streams. This area comprises of 28% Liber soils, 10% Opequon soils, and 5% Mertz soils. The minor soils comprise of 57%. Specific characteristics of soils. Opequon soils are shallow and well-drained and have fine textured subsoil. Liber soils are deep or very deep and well-drained and have moderately coarse or medium textured subsoil. Mertz soils are deep or very deep and well-drained and have medium or moderately fine textured subsoil. Minor soils comprise of well-drained Edam, Vanderlip and Merle soils and the moderately well-drained Lobdell and Clarksburg soils. It also consists of poorly drained Penlaw soils and the poorly drained Holly soils. The soils are generally suited for farming. Many of the areas that have lesser sloping sides are cleared and are cultivated. Most area are used as orchards while the steep areas are wooded. Some small part is being mined for road fill material.